Welcome to another week of the Hard Hit Sports Mid-Penn Selection Show. We'll kick things off today with the Capital Division. Our first game on the docket is Trinity and Milton Hershey. Trinity comes in after falling to East Penn last week. Milton Hershey comes in off a win, taking down Boiling Springs 41-0. I think Trinity has to get things rolling and get back on track, and I think this is the week they do it. I think they move on to 500 on the year, moving up to 4-4. I think Milton Hershey falls down to 3-5 on the year. Trinity had a rough one last week after Onassis Neely and the East Penn Panthers just ran all over everybody, and I think they pick things back up this week. Next up, we have Steelton High Spire and Camp Hill. Steel High coming in at 6-1, Camp Hill coming in at 3-4 after taking a loss last week to Middletown. I think Steel High keeps rolling behind running back Dupree Andrews, and I think they move on this week to 7-1. And then we have East Penn taking on Palmyra. Both teams coming in with a 5-2 record. Palmyra falling last week to Steelton High Spire. And I think East Penn has the number this week. I think Onassis Neely keeps running, and I think they keep rallying around their running back after picking up that key win last week over Trinity. I think they move on to 6-2 on the year. I think Palmyra falls down to 5-3 for the season. And finally, for the Capital Division, we have undefeated Middletown taking on Boiling Springs, coming in at 1-7. I think Middletown finds a new X factor this week. They found out running back Brady Fox is returning after being out for a few weeks, and I think they run all over Boiling Springs this week and continue to roll. I think they move on to 8-0 on the year. Next up, we have the Colonial Division, starting off with Northern York taking on Shippensburg. Shippensburg coming in at 5-2 for the year. I think they keep rolling. I don't think Northern York quite has what it takes, and I think Shippensburg moves on to 6-2 for the season. And then we have West Perry taking on Mifflin County. Mifflin County winless on the season. West Perry coming in at 3-4. Mifflin County is at home this week, and I think this is the week that they finally pick up that first win. I think it's not going to be that good of a game, but I think West Perry falls this week and drops down to 3-5 for the year. I think Mifflin County moves on to 1-7. Next up is James Buchanan taking on Smithsburg. James Buchanan coming in at 1-6, Smithsburg at 3-3. I don't think James Buchanan has what it takes. I think Smithsburg moves on to 4-3 on the year, and I think that James Buchanan continues to struggle. And then we have Waynesboro taking on Greencastle Antrim. Waynesboro coming in at 5-2, Greencastle coming in at 2-5. I don't think Greencastle has what it takes, and I think Waynesboro continues to roll, moving on to 6-2 for the year. And now we'll move on to our Commonwealth Division. We have Central Dauphin taking on Chambersburg. CD coming in at 4-3. Chambersburg still winless on the year. And I think CD has to pick things back up after taking 2 losses back-to-back. I think CD wins this week, knocking Chambersburg down to 0-8. Now we have Carlisle taking on CD East. Carlisle coming in at 4-3. East coming in at 5-2. East fell last week to State College, and I think they pick it back up this week, pick up where they left off, and move on to 6-2 on the year, dropping Carlisle down to 4-4 with a 500 record on the season. And then we have State College taking on Harrisburg. This is a Saturday afternoon game at Harrisburg. I think that gives Harrisburg a whole new effect and picks them up to make them even harder to beat. I think it's tough to pick against State College knowing that they consistently have good teams, but Harrisburg's that team this year, and I think they move on to 8-0, dropping State College down to 6-2 after a win for State College last week against East. That was definitely a tough-fought one, but I don't think they have it this week to take down Micah Parsons and the Harrisburg Cougars. I just don't see it. And finally, we move on to the Keystone Division, starting off with Lower Dauphin taking on Cumberland Valley at CV. Cumberland Valley comes in at 6-1, Lower Dauphin coming in at 4-3. I don't think Lower Dauphin has it this week. They picked up a key win last week against Susquehanna Township, but I think CV is a different level team, and I don't think Lower Dauphin's seen a team at this caliber yet that is going to show up and run like CV can. I think Cumberland Valley takes another win and moves on to 7-1 on the year. After that, we have Redland and Cedar Cliff, the Battle of West Shore School District. Redland coming in with a rough 1-6 record for the year. Cedar Cliff coming in at 4-3. I think Cedar Cliff gives Redland everything they can take this week, and I think Cedar Cliff moves on to move up to 5-3 on the year, dropping Redland down to 1-7. And after that, we have two struggling teams, Mechanicsburg and Hershey. Mechanicsburg coming in at 2-5 for the year, Hershey coming in at 1-5. I don't think Hershey has what it takes this week. I think Mechanicsburg picks up another key win, and I think they move on to 3-5 on the year. I think Hershey drops down to 1-6. And finally, we have Susquehanna Township traveling to Rocco Ortenzio Stadium Friday night. That is our game of the week. They're taking on the Bishop McDevitt Crusaders. Bishop McDevitt comes in at 5-2 on the year. Susquehanna Township comes in at 3-4 after a loss to Lower Dauphin last week at home. I'll be at the game on Friday night to get some film, and I'll see everybody out there. But I think the Crusaders have it, and I think they're moving on to 6-2. With that being said, that brings us to the end of our Mid-Penn selection show. We'll be at the Susquehanna Township Bishop McDevitt game Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff time at Rocco Ortenzio Stadium at Bishop McDevitt High School. We hope to see everybody out there. And that does it for this week. We'll see you next week, next Wednesday, on the Mid-Penn Selection Show.